All right, so we're in Chapter 6, Differential Equations. We are on Packet F. We are talking about a differential equation, right, an x and y that involves x, y, and the derivative. If you are considered to be a differential equation, right, then you've got a dy dx, you have a derivative somewhere. When solving these, we usually have initial condition to get a particular solution. We've already seen where if we do not, it's called a general solution. So all of this information should just be a review. We're just circling around to make sure that we've covered all of our bases. So it's looking for a particular solution. So we know later on in this question, there will be a point given, an xy pair. There's our differential, right? They're using an f prime notation. And then there is our point that we can use to find the particular solution. So if we use a df dx notation as 1 over x squared, then I know I can move my dx then to the right. So then I've got my derivative, my antiderivative of df is my integral of x squared dx. So I know that that is going to transfer over to f is equal to, and then whose derivative is going to give me. So this is really x to the negative 2, so I've got to go up 1 to negative 1 and divide by negative 1 plus c. If I have my initial condition of 0, 1, or 1, 0, so I've got a 0 coming out. I've got negative 1 over 1 plus c. So that tells me that c has to be a positive 1. So then my f of x is going to equal negative 1 over x plus 1. All right, solve the differential. Now they're going to have two different steps here. And one way to do this without moving the dx to the other side is we know the antiderivative of a f double prime is going to be an f single prime. So I'm just working backwards. So I'm just going to do power rule. Now I'm going to have my plus c. But they've noted that if I have a 0 as an input, I've got a 6 as an output. And when they give you that initial value at 0, and you look at it as a polynomial expression, so your c is really going to be that y output that you have. So if we've got to go backwards one more level to just f, then I'm going to do my power rule in reverse again. And same, both of those terms have an x in it. So when they want us to evaluate at 0, those x expressions are going to go to 0, leaving my c to be the constant provided. All right, they do that a lot with your velocity acceleration type questions here. All right, so we've got a particle is initially at rest. So initially at rest, I know my velocity, then at 0 is 0. Moves along the x-axis such that the acceleration is cosine, and it gives us a starting spot over here. All right, find the velocity. So then if my acceleration of t is cosine, then if I take my antiderivative, that would be my velocity. Like I said, initially at rest means my velocity is 0 at time 0. So if I input in a 0 here for the trig function of sine, it's going to be a 0. If I have a 0 as well, that tells me that my c value is also a 0. So now if I take another antiderivative to the position function, the derivative of cosine is negative sine, so I need a negative cosine. I'm going to try another plus c, and it said at time of 0, my position is 3. So at time of 0, my cosine of 0 is a 1 with a negative sign in front. So I'm going to write down some numbers here to make sure I don't lose my spot. So I know my position is at 3. My cosine of 0 is a 1 plus my c. So then that tells me that my c is a 4. All right, so then let's make sure we're answering the questions here. Find the velocity and position functions for the particle. Okay, so I have my velocity, and then my position function s of t is going to be the opposite of the cosine of t plus 4. Find the value of t where the particle is at rest. Okay, so then that means that my velocity of t is the sine. And when is the sine at rest? Well, that's going to be at multiples of 0, pi, 2 pi. I'm looking at just as time greater than 0. So that would result in our particle motion problem. Thank you.